It's time to present Scott DuPont to bring you another episode of Finance Your Movie with tips and strategies to help you get your money to tell your story. It's time!
Excited to be here today with Pericles Rellas, and he is a money mindset expert. And I've been wanting to have this conversation a long time. And Pericles, you are the perfect guy. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here, Scott. Thrilled to be speaking with your audience.
So before we jump in, because you've got so many jewels to share with our audience, how did you get into this profession? How did you become a money mindset expert?
That's a great question. I've been doing mindset work for about 30 years. And when I first started working with clients, it was really to grow their business, grow and expand their ability to make more money, things like that. And what I noticed was my clients would make more money, but they'd still be in the same financial situation every month. At the end of the month, they're still treading water or they were behind. I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense. You just made $5,000. You made $10,000 more. You made whatever it is you made more, and you're in the same situation. And so I noticed that there was a pattern because it was kind of across the spectrum. And so I really started to look at and focus on, well, what's going on here? And I studied it and I did research on it. And I really distinguished that people have a money mindset, what I like to call a financial thermostat. And it actually regulates and limits how much money you can earn, how much money you can keep, and your thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money. So after about 10 years, I really started to just throw all my focus around mindset into this money conversation. And here we are today. It's not a sexy conversation because nobody wants to talk about their mindset. Nobody wants to talk about who do I need to be? What do I need to think in order to get where I want to get? They just think, I want to be like Mark Cuban. I want to be like Grant Cardone. I want to have what they have, but they don't understand what's required up here to be able to get to that place.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to jump into is really the mindset. But before we do that, you know a lot of people. You're talking to people about money every day. Your clients, people in your own business. Do people ever invest in risky investments like film investments?
It's so funny. I actually have several clients that I've worked with over the years who, in fact, have produced their own films, not like their film, but a film that somebody brought to them. I have an extensive background, oddly enough, in theater and television and film.
Oh, wow.
And I see it all the time where people are looking at something and they're like, wow, this is a really big risk. But at the end of the day, they're not risking on the project. They're risking on the people that are creating the project because they're like, you know what? I don't know if this is going to go or not, but there's something about this person that I really like. And I want to be on board with them when they hit big, because when they do, it's just going to be off the charts.
Next question. Great answer, by the way. And I did not know that you had clients that invested in movies. So that kind of proves my point that there are a few people out there that actually invest in movies all the time.
Yeah.
So Pericles, I want to ask you, when somebody says, I don't know anyone, like what does that tell you? Like, I don't know anyone with money.
Yeah. It tells me two things. One is that there's just a mindset issue going on. And two, that the mindset issue is generally around, not always, but generally around their own sense of self-worth, their own sense of, am I capable of doing this? All that negative conversation that pops up in our head. You know, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. Who would listen to you? Why would anyone give you money? These are all mindset conversations that limit our ability to take the actions that we need to take. We annihilate those conversations by first recognizing that we're having them, right? We can't do anything about it if we don't recognize and acknowledge it. Yo, there it is. I got it. I can own that I have that conversation. Now I'm going to annihilate that conversation. Then the next thing is moving from the how to what conversation. Most people relate to things like this. Like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. How is such an abstract? We can never get our hands or minds around it. So I like to shift to, what do I need to do today? Well, what I can do is pick up my phone and look at all the contacts that I have. Most people then think, well, I'm just going to go ask them for money, but I can't. No, you can't. That's the last thing that you want to do. You want to start building those relationships again, nurturing those relationships again, so that you can then start to share about what it is you're up to. That will process to a natural or it will become a natural progression for you to tell them what you're doing in more detail, and ultimately for them to ask, oh, how do I get involved with that? Or you simply say, look, I'd love to share this with you. Are you interested in getting involved or finding out more information?
Very, very powerful stuff. So I want to break this down to a few things. One, you talked about the language about sharing, and that's what I teach my clients. It's like, hey, you're going to end up with a killer business plan. That's your calling card. And you're going to simply share that with a lot of people. The first 10, the first 100 people might not say yes for a $2,500 or $5,000, $10,000 investment.
Right.
Maybe they want to, maybe they just don't have the money. Maybe it's the 101st person. So how important is language that you're sharing a business plan with someone versus hitting up someone for an investment?
Yeah. It's mission critical. Most people approach every conversation from, I got to sell them. I got to get money out of them. And that is that's just a failed strategy. You will never get there. People read it. You know, when somebody comes up to you and all they want from you is something, you need to shift to, this is just who you are. I bet most people that come to you, when someone who they don't know says, what do you do? Last thing they're going to say is, I'm a filmmaker. They're going to say some other version of that, that kind of it in their mind softens it. Well, I don't want people to think that, right? They're concerned, like the actor, the old adage of the actor. Somebody says, I'm an actor. Great. What restaurant do you work at? Right? They're afraid of that conversation versus dealing with it head on and saying, you know what? I'm a filmmaker. Really, what films have you made yet? I haven't made any yet, but I'm working on my first project. And owning that, owning who you are in the matter, and owning that you have something extraordinary to contribute. You've got a project that you've created. It's your baby. You know, it would be like having your first child and saying, well, I don't want anybody to know I'm a parent yet. You know, I don't want anybody to see my kid. No, we own that. We're proud of that. Own who you are. Be proud of who you are. Share who you are. And you'll be amazed at how many people will say, oh, tell me more about that. I want to know more about that. Those conversations will then progress to whatever the natural conclusion is for them. Some people will be like, great, I'm not interested. You don't want to waste your time with those folks.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
They're interested, but they just don't have the 10K handy.
Exactly. And then they're going to be the people that are. And you would be amazed at the people that have money, that their natural buyer defense is up the minute they sense all you want from them is money. But when you start to create a relationship, start to create that back and forth conversation where you're genuinely interested in what they do, and they're genuinely interested in what you do, suddenly we've got a connection, and that connection can lead to either them investing or them saying, wow, you know, I know somebody who's been talking about investing in a film. That's all they want to do. All of a sudden, the road is paved.
Bingo. What you just said literally just happened to me yesterday. So I'm sharing the business plan with anybody and everybody this is for my project that I'm doing, not one of my clients.
Yep.
And I came across a 29-year-old kid who's right now we're talking about $50,000 to $100,000 investment. Now, I knew this guy years ago. We had a rapport. And then he happened to talk about an uncle who just sold his business for $200 million. So everything you said is so accurate. So I want to drill down a little bit more into this topic we're talking about. Why do you think, because I honestly don't know, why do you think people are so afraid not to own, hey, I'm an award-winning filmmaker, or they're simply afraid to share a business plan because their aunt might lose all her money and end up in a mobile home trailer? Like, why are people so afraid of this process?
Because they're hiding the truth. They're hiding their own truth or their fear of somebody could lose all their money. And look, that's the bottom line, is you never know. I don't care what kind of investment it is. If it's an investment in a business, if it's investment into the stock market, if it's investment into a film, we always have that risk. And so when you can be honest and authentic about that, if it comes up, you don't want to be sharing that right off the road where you could lose all your money. You don't want to put that in the space, but you want to own that if that's something that somebody brings up, absolutely, that's a potential. That's not what I'm committed to. Those are not the kind of films that I want to make. But when you have that fear, people know there's something in the background. They know you're hiding something. And when you're afraid to have that conversation versus dealing with it head on and dealing with it in a truthful manner, then people are going to feel there's just not something right here. We've all had that experience with someone where it's just like, you know what? I really like them, but felt like there was something missing or something they were hiding. Don't be afraid to have any conversation. Don't be afraid of any potential question. Be ready to answer those questions and answer them truthfully. Because the bottom line is any investment brings risk. I don't care what kind of investment, it brings risk. And when people know that you're willing to own that, they're willing to have that conversation with you, and they're willing to put that money in knowing they could lose it, but they trust you and they trust that you're going to do everything you can to make sure they make money.
So without somebody actually hiring you to work on their mindset, because everything you said like really resonated with me. And I wish I had found you 30 years ago, because I had some of those self-doubts.
Mm.
I still do once in a while. But what are some, if you can share just one or two things that people can do on maybe a daily basis or a consistent basis to help mitigate those fears
Yeah.
and to admit that they have this problem going on in their head?
Yeah. The first thing I would recommend is create why you're doing what you do.
The
Get
why.
really present why you're doing what you do. I do what I do because I love what I do. I love the value that my clients see at the end of the day. If you're a filmmaker and you're working on, I don't care if it's your first film or your 100th film, why are you working on this film? Or why do you make films in general? And get really clear about it, articulate it, write it down. And when you read it back to yourself, if your heart just opens up and sings and you get tingles, you know you've nailed it. Now, take that and put it next to your bed. And when you wake up in the morning, read it and get present to why you do what you do. Have that be the start to your day. When you go to bed at night, read it again. Have it bookend your day and be the thing you go to sleep with every single night, as this is who I am. Let your dreams be sourced by that. Let every action be sourced by that.
Wow, I got chills right away. By the way, if any of your audience is watching this video on YouTube, this was not staged, but the why is so important. The how you can figure out, the technical, the how, that's why you hire coaches to learn the technical stuff. But my why is so powerful. I have a mission statement
Mm.
written down. We spent, my partners and I spent about a week crafting this mission statement for our current film. I look at it, it's right by my computer. I look at it multiple times during the day, but I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to take it to bed with me and look at it right before I close my eyes and first thing I wake up in the morning.
Yep. Awesome. And it literally will make a difference. Most people just they're not even clear why they're doing what they're doing. They're just kind of in autopilot. This is what my parents told me to do. This is what I always thought I was going to do. And they don't get really clear about that why. It will source you, it will drive you in the moments when things aren't going the way you want them to. And I promise you, in any industry, things are not going to always go the way you want them to. That why will source you and sustain you through that.
Are there any other things? Because you're so, one of the things I love, we just met today, by the way. One of the things I love about every answer to my question, you're very succinct and very clear, just getting right to the point. You're not like rambling on. I love that. What do you think? What can you do with all this distraction and noise, these DMs, texts, emails, phone calls, the clutter, I call it? What else can be helpful to keep focused on your mission or focused on your fundraising?
Yeah. You want to compartmentalize your day and you want to organize your day. So first and foremost is use your calendar. You want to have your calendar scheduled for you wake up in the morning, you read that why, you get up, whatever it is you do, that's your ritual in the morning. Make sure you honor and respect that ritual. Put it in your calendar if you need to. And then make sure anything that you need to do, I'm blocking off 2 hours today to make phone calls. I'm blocking an hour off today to work on whatever it is that you're working on. Compartmentalize them and put them in your calendar, and then honor your calendar. So when you're working on making phone calls, you want to have everything else turned off. You don't want to have Facebook on, or your Instagram, or any of the socials. You don't want to be distracted by any of those things, because trust me, the mind works that way. I'm going to sit down and do this work. Oh, you know what? This pen isn't the kind of pen that I really like. I think I need to get another pen. And then you're off to the store looking for it, and you've lost 4 hours of your day doing something that you didn't need to or want to do. Focus on what you need to focus on, put it in your calendar, and allow your calendar to be the thing that tells you what to do every single day.
Awesome. Awesome. Powerful advice. What would you say to people who think that this mindset work that you've been talking about, let's just say this is the first time they've really, even if they buy in to everything you said, which is to me is so powerful. I'm gonna be watching this episode, listening to it several times, that this mindset work is like woo woo. It's just not like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, does it really work? Do you have some great examples that you can share?
Yeah, so I want to address the first part. It can be a little woo-woo, right? A lot of people can see it for the first time and think, wow, that's a little out there. That's a little woo-woo. The proof is in the pudding. If you look at the people that are the most effective in their industry, regardless of what that industry is, they have somebody that's there to work on their mindset. Now, again, it's not the sexiest thing in the world, so most people don't even think about it. They look at somebody, it would be like looking at LeBron James, and saying, I just want to have the kind of money that he has, the kind of success that he has, and that's all I want. And I'm going to go pay $10,000 for a program so I can learn to play basketball like LeBron James. But they don't do any of the mindset work. They're never going to be a LeBron James without that mindset. Because when LeBron goes out and plays, when LeBron goes out and practices, he's being something that most people will never be able to be, because they don't even think about it from that perspective. They never think about the long hours, the hard work, the getting up early, the staying late, the eating the right way, the practice, the sweat, the soreness, working through all of that. That's all mindset. Because most people that get sore and they're like, forget it, I'm out of here. This is too hard.
So
Or they
it's like
think,
a strong mind.
yeah, it's a strong, focused mind that allows you to move through those challenging moments, because we all have them. We have those moments where like, this is just too hard. I can't do it. I've failed 50 times in a row.
Yeah,
How can I get
100 people said no, they don't want to invest in my film.
Exactly. And can you imagine if someone like Jeff Bezos had that attitude back when I was looking at a video not too long ago, it was a picture of Amazon in his garage, where he had one of those old dot matrix things printed out and along the wall. It's at Amazon.com, when they were just selling books. Imagine if he had said, oh, this just isn't working. I'm not going to do this. He wouldn't be who he is today. There's a mindset that comes with that kind of success. It's actually the foundation of that kind of success across the board.
You know, I never really thought about in those terms, but when you said LeBron, I just saw a documentary, one of my favorite documentaries, I've seen it a few times. It's called, I think it's called Jordan to the Max. And they talked about him getting cut from his high school basketball. They talked about his mom, talked about his mindset was so strong and he was so determined and he just kept going. So everything you said makes so much sense, especially for an independent filmmaker.
Yes. Well, you're working in an industry that is not well known, that is kind of, a lot of people would say is an outlier of the industry. Most of us think of, the big, huge, epic films, the Titanics and the Aliens and all those kinds of films. And then we have got this other side where this is where people start. This is where people cut their teeth, as it were, and really start to understand Who am I as a filmmaker? What kind of films do I want to make? What kind of work do I want to do? What are my values when it comes to making films? Do I want to make films that scare people? Do I want to make films that enlighten people or open people's hearts or whatever that may be? This is where you get that foundation. And you're never going to become that James Cameron without the right mindset to get you through all the trials and tribulations, and everyone goes through them.
So kind of a final bit of advice, if you can share this for indie filmmakers. I'd love your take on this. What would you say to an indie filmmaker that has just made 50 phone calls? You're texting people to try to get them on the phone. Because by the way, this is what I preach, and I've never had anyone invest $10,000, $50,000, or $500,000 off an email or a text. I wonder why.
Yep.
But let's just say an indie filmmaker, they've done those calls, nobody's called them back, or the people they did get on the phone, they all said no. How do you rebound for that? What is one of your strategies to get back in the game, to keep that strong mind?
Yeah. Go back to your why and get present to why you're doing it, and simply say to yourself, I haven't spoken to the right person yet. The
Oh, I
right
love
person
that.
is out there. Look, every day there are people that are dying to meet the right person to fulfill on their dream. Some people are praying when they go to bed every night, I just need to meet the right person. If you give up, you could have met the right person tomorrow who was looking for you. They wanted to be a producer on a film. That's their dream, but you gave up just before you met that person. Keep that present for yourself. It's like that seed that we've planted. We keep waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting. It's not happening, not happening. Forget it. We walk away. The next day is the day that it sprouts. Stay
Wow.
present to your why, and remember the right person is out there, always right around the corner.
Wow. And it only takes one.
Only takes
But
one.
the first film I ever did back in 1998 was a film called The Bros. This is it right here. That's
Oh, wow.
ended up getting picked up by Lionsgate. And I forget the exact number, but it was about 1,000 phone calls. And I ran into the guy, what you just said, you just haven't reached the right person yet who wanted their dream. It was a guy named Jeff. He had been an extra in a few movies. He wanted to be part of a movie. He wanted to be the big producer. And what you said is so true.
Yep. And the last thing I will give your listeners is find someone who can coach you, whether it's someone like Scott who knows the industry, who can say, okay, we need to change things up. You know, if LeBron isn't hitting his jump shot, the coach is there to say, dude, you're dropping your arm. You're not doing this. You're not, whatever it is that's missing. They're there to put that in. Don't go this on your own. Have somebody there that's going to elevate you. It's going to hold you to account, and they're going to show you your blind spots so that you can become a better person. Every day is a challenge. Every day is an adventure. And every day you have to be growing and expanding, or you're contracting. There's no standing still. Having a coach makes the difference.
So important. I have my own business coaches as well. JT Fox is one of them. Mark Von Muser, Russ Rufino.
I know Mark and Russ very, very well. Both of them are amazing coaches. Absolutely. This is what people need. And they think they're going to go it on their own, and it's a struggle. And then they don't have anybody to lift them up and say, dude, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing right. Stop doing this, what you're doing wrong. Start doing more of this. And how about this? Try this. They will give you things that you never thought of that will move the ball forward the way you want to.
Yeah, it's almost like Michael Jordan. You would think by the time he got to the finals, his first finals, the best player in the world, arguably, that he would have it all figured out, but he still had his coach, because sometimes they can see things that he doesn't necessarily see at the time.
Yep. And as I said, we're either expanding or we're contracting. There is no standing still. You don't become the greatest in the world and then just stand in stasis as the greatest in the world. You will either continue to grow and expand, or you will start to fall down the chain and other people will take over.
Yeah. What's if someone wants to reach out to you as a money mindset coach, what's the best way people can contact you or reach out to you?
They can go to my website, periclesrellas.com. That has all the information there. I've got an amazing a webinar, free webinar, talks about your money mindset, how to shift it, how to start to create the kind of wealth and prosperity that you're looking for. Periclesrellas.com is the best way to reach me.
Awesome. Pericles, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed this. I learned a lot. Thank you so much for your time.
Scott, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It's time!
There's never been a better time to make your own film. And if you have a dream project you're excited about and 100% committed to getting it funded, go to financeyourmovie.com, click on the green telephone, you'll see our calendar and find an open spot. We'll do a one-on-one call, which will be the best hour you've ever spent getting clarity and strategy towards financing your movie.